what I was trying to do. And I think it's also the thing that kept me going, because I felt like I might never have the experience again of making something where I'm really trying to figure out how to do this and I don't have something to look to. So it's not that I wasn't inspired by other films, like there's lots of films that really inspired me and I don't think I invented anything here, but I did feel like it was more original than what I had done before, and I think that kept me going, even though I felt the risks of exposing myself and exposing my family were terrifying to me. And I think the fact that they were also supportive helped me keep going as well.
Well, having said that, I mean, even, you know, if the audience were watching this and it was someone, you know, if you had told this story about someone else, do you think, like, audiences would still identify this as, this is a Sarah Polley film? Do you think it still, like, lines up with that kind of style or, you know, the voice that you've created as a filmmaker?
I'm not sure. I think it's really hard for you to see your own voice as a filmmaker unless you've really consciously decided to construct a voice for yourself. Like, I'm not sure I know what my voice is. I think there's certainly thematically things that run through. I mean, I've only made 3 films, so it's like, who knows what my voice is? I'm still figuring it out. But, you know, the 3 films I've made do deal with a lot of similar subject matter, like issues of memory and truth and issues of long relationships and marriages. And certainly I seem to be mining the same territory without knowing it, I think, over and over again.
True and aren't true, the 3 sisters, all divorced?
Mm-hmm.
And who was your toughest interview and why?
So yes, all 3 girls got divorced. The toughest interview for me, it wasn't really, for me I just felt the most nervous. He was lovely. I was the most nervous interviewing my mother's friend Jeff Bose, because he's one of the kindest, most generous, lovely people I've ever met. And he was the only person where I felt I was kind of springing something on. I was sort of springing this question on. Everybody else knew what was going to happen in the interview, and he didn't really. So I felt really weird about that a week before, and I called him and I said, is it okay with you if I spring things on you? Instead of, you know, springing things, I just thought at least I'll have permission to do that. But because he's such a kind, generous, open person, I think during the interview I just felt really ethically weird. I mean, I think that's always what's held me back from making a documentary in the first place. Is it's my favorite art form by far. I'm a huge fan of documentaries more than any other art form, but I haven't made one precisely because I don't want to trick people. I don't want to manipulate subjects. I don't want to make people seem like something other than they are. I don't want to like throw something at them in front of a camera. And so that was the only moment where I felt like I came close to doing that. I think the fact that I warned him it was going to happen helped ease my conscience a bit, and then he was so kind of supportive, and he was one of many people I made sure signed off on the film before we locked
Have
picture.
you gotten over your fear of that now?
No, I think it's really important to be fearful of using people for your film, you know, and using their real lives and their emotions or who they are. I mean, they're going to be projected to like so many people that they don't know, that the way they're represented I think is really important. So I don't know, I think if I was making a hard-hitting political documentary where I was going after people who are doing real damage in the world, I would feel a lot less ambiguous about that being an okay thing to do. But just generally it's, you know, I think that's one of the trickier things about documentaries, and that's why I'm so amazed by documentary filmmakers who seem to be able to ethically make their films and yet still get what they need to tell their stories.
You usually be asked questions like this, but in this film you have to be interviewer. So do you kind of feel like you discover something outside?
Yeah.
How was the experience?
One of the main things I learned, and it took a few interviews to learn it, was that to stop filling the awkward silences, because usually after the awkward silence was when you got the really interesting thing. And I feel like that took me 3, because my instinct is, you know, you just want things to be comfortable. So, you know, someone takes a pause after what they say and you go to your next question or you say something, and to kind of learn to just like let that quiet happen, because if that person's going to fill the silence, it might be with something more revealing than they expected. Now there's going to be a big long silence. keep going. So I thought that was really interesting to realize if you can learn how to shut up, it's really helpful. That's what I found.
You alluded to this a little bit, but were you still in the process of investigating these events while you were making your last film?
Yeah, so I'd actually started making this film when I made my last film. I started doing the interview with my dad and Harry and maybe a few others as well. And we've done a cut of the interviews only, and then I took a hiatus and I made Take This Waltz, which I had written the script for earlier. And then I went through that whole process, edited it, and then came back to this, and we shot a whole bunch of footage. And then I went back to Take This Waltz, and I did the sound mix and finished it, and then came back and began to cut the last cut of so they were very dovetailed, the two films.
What would get the audience to come out to see this movie?
Pardon?
What would get the audience to come out to see this movie?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't pretend to know a whole lot about the business of film and marketing, and thankfully I always seem to be working with companies and people who do know what they're talking about, so I leave that to them. What do you think?
I think it about your life would be interesting. I learned something from it, so about me, so.
Cool, that's good to know.
What did you shoot the handheld stuff on?
It was all Super 8.
Oh, super.
Meeting with Harry, the moment is the first time you had a meeting with Harry, is the summer taped, or is you guys has to kind of redo?
Yeah.
Can we review that, because toward the ending we can see that it's
Yeah,
some person. Not
It's hard. I mean, I
from-
think there are a few spoilers in this film that, some of which are inevitable. I think the stuff about me having a different biological father, I don't think you can keep to yourself, because otherwise you can't write about the film. Some stuff about the reveals around how the film is being made, I'd love to keep, because I think it's a big twist for a lot of people.
But some footage are from actually your family.
Yeah, lots of it.
Wow, we didn't see the
That's good.
yeah.
That's good.
It's very seamless. Yeah.
Did you have a question? I'm sorry.
I was gonna ask. I was reading the production notes, and it said that you had shot for several months, and then you would edit for several months, and then you'd shoot again. Have you been in a project as a director or as an actor where you've done that before, and how did that help you in this film?
I haven't been on a project like that before, and it was hugely helpful, and I think there's so much more space for rigorous thought and to really make intelligent decisions based on what is happening as opposed to what you decided was going to happen.
Right.
So, I mean, I would love it if there was the budget to work like that on a fictional film as well, to be able to shoot and go away and think about it, and then come back at it and then go away. It's definitely the way I would make a documentary in the future, though, because especially when you're dealing with real people's lives, I think it's really important to have that space and time to really think about what you're doing before you go back at it.
Great.
And it also allowed my editor, Mike Munn, who's really, I think was like a co-writer and co-director of this film, really. It really allowed, him to have that input and be involved in the process, which was hugely important to the sensibility of the film.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.